get started now. All right, so we have an important question that, I think it's on a lot of people's minds.
And we hear it a lot.
We hear it a lot. We hear it enough. And one of those questions are simply, how come my friend is losing more weight than I am?
Or anyway.
Why are other people losing weight faster than I am? I don't understand.
Yeah. Why? I don't get it. Doesn't make sense.
They done the whole 30, I done the whole 30, and they lost 20 pounds, I only lost 5. Right? Or you can use that same situation.
Keto,
paleo,
vegan.
Name it.
Start intermittent fasting.
Yes, name it. Why?
All of a sudden, and there's just this constant battle, right?
Yeah.
I should be seeing better results
than them.
They're the same as me.
I am better than them.
But
yeah. There's an ego part to it. You don't want to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Okay. But seriously, let's take a step back for a moment and kind of break this down to where it makes a little bit more sense, right? Let's start first with, movement.
Well, let's even before that. Let's even step back further from that. So what we're talking about is you're looking at somebody else's fitness or weight loss journey in a snapshot, right? You're looking at their end result, right? And we've talked about this before in other videos, but the end result isn't the power, right? That doesn't have the power is in the process, is in getting to that point.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to talk about a little bit today is let's understand the process that somebody else might be going through that might be different from you in how that could relate to them having different results than what you have on your journey. So now, we talk about 3 different areas of health.
Yep.
And that's what we preach at Invictus all the time, right? So let's talk about movement for a second.
Absolutely.
Right? So what about movement?
Are you the kind of person that, works out one time a day and you go sit down the rest of the day, right? Or are you the kind of person that you remain active? Maybe your job encourages you to move. Maybe you're a warehouse manager or something. You happen to move a lot of boxes throughout the day, right? What is your activity outside of a workout setting, right? That's a key factor right there, because that will determine whether or not you're creating enough momentum to the direction that you want to be as your goal.
So activity outside of exercise is what's known as non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or NEAT for short.
I like that.
And right? Are you, how neat are you?
I'm very neat.
You are pretty neat.
Times.
There are times you have no NEAT in you at all. Nothing. Zero NEAT.
Things that come out your mouth that's never neat.
It's totally different. It's not the same thing.
Hey, it works.
That's the same thing.
All right.
So again, when you start to think about how somebody else's experience might be different than yours, you don't know what's going on in their daily life. You might have a pretty good idea, but there's probably more activity that is happening outside of exercise than what you think there is. And in my experience, what I found is that most people overestimate the amount of exercise, or not even exercise, but movement that they get throughout the day, right? We as a society sit way more than what we should do, and more than we think we do. We are sitting a lot, and we're not moving. And even when we're not sitting, yes, I'm burning a few more calories when I'm standing, but I'm not walking, I'm not creating movement, right? So we just don't have the same level of activity that our forefathers or our ancestors did. So that would be number one is movement. How much movement are they getting outside of exercise? Number 2,
nutrition.
Let's talk about nutrition, right? So there's all these different ideas behind nutrition, and you've got the Whole 30 plan, what we kind of mentioned. You've got keto, which is low carb, high fat, moderate protein. You've got paleo, which cuts out all processed foods. You've got intermittent fasting, which is you just don't eat for a longer period of time, and you shorten your eating window. You've got vegan, you don't eat any animal products. There's all these different things, but there's a number of commonalities between all of these different nutrition ideas or philosophies. And the commonalities is the reasons that they're successful. It doesn't really matter what you do, as long as you follow these particular principles. So what are those?
Food quality is a big one.
Food quality, right?
Absolutely.
Every single one of those diets, they promote eating better quality of food. They also promote being mindful of what you're putting in your body, right? So how many times, this is for the stay-at-home moms, that you're making lunch for your kids and they don't finish all of the sandwich and you find yourself just finishing that sandwich.
Snacking on that sandwich.
It's mindless eating where you're eating as you're cooking, you're eating throughout the day.
Yeah.
And all that mindless eating adds up over time, and you don't realize that that's just contributing to having a calorie surplus versus being in a deficit to lose weight. What else? What else?
H2O, that's a big
Water.
one, right?
Water. Are you drinking water?
Yeah, every
Again,
diet or nutrition plan will encourage that.
A lot of people think they drink enough water, and I'm telling you, they probably don't. You probably don't drink enough water. I don't drink enough water on a lot of days, and it's something that I have to remind myself of, right?
Be mindful of, absolutely.
We have to be mindful of it all the time. So drinking more water is important. Even the smallest amount of dehydration can inhibit results in performance and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we got habits. So I mean, essentially, it goes back to like healthier habits than what you were doing previously.
Yeah, I mean, and so again, you don't know what those habits are, right? That person that lost that extra weight, they may have had horrible habits.
Exactly. And probably used to drink all day and then said, you know what? I'm going to go cold turkey and not do it. I got the willpower.
Well, fast food, I mean, eating lower quality
and all of a sudden,
food.
it's such a huge change.
Right. So they go from that diet and then they make this extreme change.
Right.
And they're following this plan and they're seeing success on it, right? You're seeing the snapshot.
Yeah.
But it's not a sustainable change.
Yeah.
Right? And then the third area that we talk about all the time is lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that comes back to sleep,
stress.
Celeste.
Do you know someone named Celeste?
I don't.
Okay. Well, sleep and stress is what we meant.
Recovery, like how well are you handling the daily stresses that happen throughout your life, right? Like from work, from family, from other areas. How well are you sleeping? Are you maximizing the time that you should be to getting the most out of the efforts that you're putting into your workouts and to your nutrition and to everything else that you're doing? So
big one.
So those are a lot of the reasons why, but
we have a question for them.
We do have a question,
yeah.
And this is now we want to kind of put this back on you a little bit. So
it's good.
Why does somebody else's success have any bearing on your own? Why are you comparing your journey to somebody else's?
Right.
Because your journey is individual, it's personal, it's yours.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with whether or not your neighbor or your friend or your family member is doing something similar or different and their success that they see.
Yeah.
Their success is theirs. Their journey is theirs.
So really think about it. When you think like that, how has that helped you going forward?
It doesn't.
Does that stress make you feel good about yourself? Comparing yourself to someone else? Does it empower you to make more important decisions, to make sure that you're more focused on your own journey, or you're still in that comparison mode that we were talking about earlier? Or
does that provide some level of does that feed into kind of like an idea that maybe you need to change what you're doing? You're not doing things the right way.
Yeah.
And so now instead of sticking to the plan that you're on, you start pivoting. You start looking for different things, right? You develop fitness or health ADD because you don't stick with anything long enough to actually see the results because you're looking for that one thing.
Constantly looking for something else rather than being right on your path.
That thing that's going to give you the maximum amount of results with the least amount of effort.
Yeah.
Because in your mind, that's what they did, right? They didn't do it as hard as you. They're not working. They're not as strict as you.
Yeah.
They're not as motivated as you. They don't have the same amount of willpower as you.
But they're not you.
But they're getting better results.
Yeah.
So somehow something is off there in your mind. You should be getting results better than them, or at least the same.
Yeah.
And that's where things start to unravel.
So if you're that kind of person where you feel as though you're stuck with thinking about someone else's journey rather than your own, and it's hard for you to just stay focused because there's so many options out there, so many ways of being confused with how to go forward, maybe it's time to try a different approach, right?
That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, time to try a different approach, try a different option. Maybe it's time to be coached, right? Maybe it's time to look outside of what you think you know and let's help you out. Let's help you with what you think is not only your goal, but something you want to live the rest of your life. This is no longer just about let me say this. If you're tired of doing something only to go back to doing it again, let's enjoy our life in a way that we don't have to go back to making the same mistakes,
Yeah.
That's it.
That's our message.
All
So
right.
hopefully this connects with somebody. And I'm Coach Josh.
I'm Coach K. And if there's a Celeste out there, we didn't mean to call you by name.
Not at all.
Mistake.
However, we do want you to become unconquerable.
Yes, we do. All right, make sure to wear swag. This is wear swag. Swag. Don't be mad. Don't be mad, Josh. It's always so close.